Hey guys, it's Kasera, and today I'm going to be doing my September week 2 reading vlog. I'm currently reading 4 books, 1 audio, 2 ebooks, and 1 physical book. I will be getting to more than that this week because I'm hoping to finish most of that over the next couple of days because I have quite a few ebooks towards the end of the week that I really want to get to. So for my physical book, yesterday I started Sorcery of Thorns by Margaret Rogerson. I didn't get very far into it yet. I only read the first chapter, but I'm really intrigued by it and I'm super excited for this one. I've been meaning to read this one ever since I got the book, and I just haven't had the time, but I'm super excited for it. And this one has had a lot of hype recently, so that just makes me more and more excited for it. But this one is about a library, a magical library, which just makes me really intrigued by what's gonna happen. My audiobook right now is A Gentleman in Moscow by Amor, Towles. I'm really enjoying it. I'm about halfway through it right now, and I love the writing in it. I'm really interested in the story itself because it occurs in Russia after the Bolshevik Revolution. It's just an interesting perspective that I don't read a lot of, if you know what I mean. I don't read that much Russian literature. I mean, I've read a little Tolstoy and Chekhov, but this is a little bit more contemporary than that. So I'm really interested in seeing where this goes, but the writing style is so good. I really, really love it. When I first started it, it gave me feelings reminiscent of 100 Years of Solitude by Gabriel Garcia Marquez, which is one of my favorite books of all time. I just it has a similar writing style. So I feel like if you mash up 100 Years of Solitude, A Man Called Uwe by Frederick Bachman, that's A Gentleman in Moscow. Just with a Russian twist to it. And I'm really enjoying it right now. For my ebooks, because I have 2 right now, I'm currently reading The Ember Blade by Chris Whitting, which I've been reading for the last couple of weeks. I haven't made a whole lot of progress in it yet, but I'm really hoping to finish it this week. We'll see how it goes. But the one that I'm trying to read a little bit faster right now is The Unkindest by Seanan McGuire, which is a new release. It just came out September 3rd, and I actually have an e-arc of it from NetGalley, so I'm trying to finish it soon so that I could post a review on that one. I'm not enjoying that one as much as I wanted to. I really, really wanted to like it. The atmosphere is just not what I would want to read in general. It's fast though, and it's simple, so it's really easy to read, and a lot of the plot is very unexpected, so it keeps my attention. So it's not that I'm not enjoying it at all, it's just, it's not really my cup of tea, let's put it that way. It is Tuesday, September 10th, and yesterday I finished The Unkindest Tide by Seanan McGuire. I didn't enjoy it as much as I wanted to. I did enjoy it, some aspects of it. There are other aspects of it that frustrated me though. The writing though was such that it kept my attention the entire time, so I didn't have a problem actually reading it. It was really easy to read, but I think I already talked a lot about some of the things that I just didn't like about it, so I ended up giving it 2.5 stars. So it's a decent book, I just don't think it was for me, if that makes sense. I will be doing a full review on that one, and it should be coming out before this vlog, so I will link that up in the cards for you guys if you want to check it out. I'm also only an hour away from finishing A Gentleman in Moscow by Amor, Towles. I'm going to go ahead and do that, and I will check in with you guys when I'm done with that, okay? So I finished A Gentleman in Moscow by Amor, Towles. I really, really enjoyed this book. This is one of the examples of a book that I wouldn't have read if I hadn't been making myself read at least 1 historical fiction per month, but I really ended up enjoying. I ended up giving it 4.5 stars. I liked how smart this book was written. I liked that, one, it was a little bit different than what I typically read because it's set in Russia. It's kind of about the Bolshevik Revolution, so it's different than just reading another book about World War II or something like that. It has a different sort of feel to it, which I really enjoyed, and I really loved the atmosphere of this book. It pulled me into the story, and while the plot was not my favorite, I ended up really caring for these characters. It's definitely one of my favorites of the year, so I'm really happy that I listened to the audiobook of it. Oh, by the way, the audiobook is fantastic. I really love the audiobook narrator. I want to find more books by him, narrated by him. So yes, I really, really enjoyed it, and I ended up giving it 4.5 stars. Okay, so it's Saturday, September 11th. I actually have a lot to update you guys on. So yesterday, I had to pick up a new audiobook, and I decided to pick up The Way of Kings by Sanderson. This is the last audiobook that I just really, really wanted to get to this month. There's one more audiobook that I have that I do want to get to, but if I don't get to it, it's okay. And then all the rest of the audiobooks are for the Tome Infinity readathon. But this one I really, really wanted to get to. So I'm really excited to finally get to it. I'm not that far into it. That being said, this one has me a little off kilter. And it's not because I don't like the audiobook or the book or anything like that. So if you guys have been watching my reading vlogs for a while, you might remember that I'm currently rereading the Wheel of Time series on audio. I've been doing this for the past like 4 or 5 months, and I'm currently on The Shadow Rising. Well, the Wheel of Time series audiobooks are narrated by Michael Kramer and Kate Redding, who also narrate Stormlight Archives. And the writing style is so similar because Sanderson, he finished the Wheel of Time series after Robert Jordan passed away. So he cultivated a writing style very similar to Robert Jordan. And in The Way of Kings, it is readily apparent how similar his writing style is. So because it's the same audiobook narrators and similar writing styles, and I know the Wheel of Time characters better than I know the Stormlight Archives characters, just because like I literally just started this book. This is the first book in the series. I literally just started it. If I'm not completely focused on the story, then sometimes I picture the Wheel of Time characters in my head saying the stuff that the Stormlight Archives characters are saying. And it's similar dialogue too. Like for example, in the Wheel of Time, they say burn you as like a curse. In the Stormlight Archives, it's storm you. So like, it's different words, but it's like same mannerisms and stuff. So it has me a little off kilter because of that. I was listening a little bit more to this one this morning, and I feel like I'm getting more used to it. I think I might have to put my reread of the Wheel of Time series on hold just for a little while I finish The Way of Kings, just because I don't know if I'll be able to differentiate between the two audiobooks very well, because it's kind of difficult right now. But overall, I'm really liking this so far. I'm about 4 hours into the audiobook, so I'm not too far into it because it's like a 45-hour audiobook, but I'm super excited to continue on with this one. It's an interesting world so far, and I really like the magic too. And the characters seem very interesting also, so I'm definitely excited for this. So last night, I was really grumpy and I was not in a good mood, and I just wanted to take a bath and read a book. Honestly, I just wanted to pick up my physical copy of The Way of Kings. That was the only thing I felt like reading, but I kind of forced myself to pick up my Kindle instead and pick just one of the ebooks because I have a lot of ebooks on my TBR that I'm trying to finish this week before the Tome Infinity and Beyond readathon next week. I decided to pick up The Realm of Nights by Jennifer Ann Davis. I decided to pick up this one just because it's YA, so I felt like it would be a fast read, and it was a very quick read. I enjoyed this book way more than I was expecting. Like, I kind of picked this one up kind of like on a whim because I saw like a lot of people were excited for it. I've never read anything by Jennifer Ann Davis before, but I felt like it had enough hype that it should be interesting enough. I just flew through this book. Like, I read 90% of this book last night, and the only reason I didn't finish this book last night is because I had to go to work this morning, so I had to go to sleep. I had the hardest time falling asleep too because I was just so into this. It's like really, really fast paced. The main character, immediately I was very attached to. I really, really enjoyed that aspect of it. So this is following the character of Reed, who has been raised as a boy her entire life, because in the kingdom that she lives in, girls can't hold land. So if her father doesn't have a boy, he can't deed his land to his daughters. Their family will end up losing everything. And her father is the Duke of Ellington, so she serves as his heir, even though she's a girl. At the beginning of the novel, 2 of the princes of the world see her, and they find out she's a girl right away, and then just like a bunch of things happened, and it's fantastic. I really, really enjoyed it. Oh, by the way, I did wake up this morning and finish the book. So like, I finished this book in 2 sittings. It would have been 1 sitting if I didn't have to go to sleep, but like, this book just made me so happy. It wasn't particularly very good, if you know what I mean. Like, it was what I needed at the time. It's kind of like a guilty pleasure read. I will have to say though, I didn't feel as this felt like a whole book. It felt like half of book 1 for a book, if you know what I mean. Like, the ending didn't give me any closure, and I really want to read the second book now. So yeah, I ended up really enjoying this, and I'm really happy that I ended up enjoying this. I had thought this was going to be like a 3.5 star book before I picked it up, When I picked it up, I was like, oh, this could be a 4-star book. I think I'm giving it 4.5 stars. Like, it was that good. It's mainly the voice of this book, because there are like sections, there are parts of this book that I'm just kind of like, the world building, for example, is very black and white. It's trying a little too hard to be feminist in some ways, and to show like oppression of women in some ways. But at the same time, none of that really bothered me. I enjoyed the characters. There is a romance in here. It's not the romance I thought it was gonna be going into it. And I didn't like that at first, but like I grew to be okay with it. So like that's a fine too. And I actually started rooting for them, which was kind of weird because a lot of times with YA novels, I just don't feel it at all. And I did feel it with them, so that made me really happy. So yeah, I don't know. This one ended up being a lot better than I was expecting it to. And I'm definitely excited to read more in this series. I think this book came out yesterday. So yeah, you guys can definitely pick it up because it just came out. So yeah, it was really, really good. I didn't expect that at all, but yeah, it made me really happy. Like I felt so good after reading this book, and I was just such a grump before I started reading it. So it was a good thing. I'm really glad that I ended up picking this book up. Okay, it's Thursday, September 12th, and I've been making a lot of progress on The Way of Kings by Brandon Sanderson. I'm really enjoying this book. I really like the world, and the magic seems really interesting, and I'm excited to see where this one's going. I also really like Kaladin. I haven't formed much of an opinion on any of the other characters yet, but Kaladin so far is my favorite, and I really enjoy his storyline and what's going on there. One thing I do have to say though is I think that my reading tastes have changed a lot since I was first introduced to Brandon Sanderson back in like, I think it was like 2010 or 2011 that I read the Mistborn trilogy for the first time, so it was like 8 or 9 years ago. And I think my reading tastes have definitely changed a lot, mostly because with high fantasy, there's a learning curve to each series. So there's either a shallow learning curve where like it's really easy to get into and you're given information as you go along. And then there's more steep learning curves where there's not as much information just like given to the reader. And the reader has to infer a lot more from just like the details that they're given than just getting explanation from like the narrator of the book. Brandon Sanderson is definitely one of the more shallow learning curves, which means he gives a lot of explanation in his stories, which I'm fine with when it's like things like magic and the physical world and stuff like that, which is very different than ours. I start getting annoyed with it when it starts explaining the politics and things like that, because I'm just like, no, don't do that. Let me figure it out on my own. Like, I want to figure it out on my own. Kind of explains it a little too much, in my opinion. Like, just like a teeny thing I noticed. Other than that, I'm really, really enjoying this book so far, and I'm excited to continue on with it. Speaking of high fantasy learning curves, last night I decided to pick up Pilgrimage of Swords by Anthony Ryan. So this is an e-arc that I got from NetGalley. Also, it's a novella, and last night I got home from work, I was grumpy, I just wanted to relax with the book for an hour or two, and then go to sleep. That's all I wanted to do. And I think I kind of wanted a repeat of what happened with Realm of Nights. Like, I was hoping for that, because that book just made me so happy when I was in such a grumpy mood. And I figured, like, out of all the books that are on my TBR right now that I want to get to before the Tome Infinity Readathon next week, that Pilgrimage of Swords was probably the best bet, because it's a novella, it's high fantasy, I love high fantasy. And I picked it up, I read like 1.5 chapters, and I was just kind of like, oh, this is too hard. And I went to sleep. This morning, I picked it up again, just wanting to finish the chapter that I had finished like the half chapter of. It's like the second half of chapter 2, and I found myself also reading chapter 3. So I actually really, really enjoy this world. Very, very interesting. It has a much steeper learning curve than I was expecting it to, but when my brain is working and I'm not in a grumpy mood, I'm in a good mood and I can actually like think about what I'm reading, I really, really enjoy it. But last night, when I just wanted something that I didn't have to use my brain for, it was a little too much for me. So far, I'm really enjoying it. It kind of reminds me of The Hobbit, just in the way The Hobbit kind of introduces the world of the Lord of the Rings before you actually get to the Lord of the Rings story, because it's a group of people going on this quest to, I think they're going over some mountain or something like that, which in The Hobbit, it has a similar sort of narrative in that sense, but it spends most of its time on world building, which is what Pilgrimage of Swords is doing, and I actually really like it. The main character's name is Pilgrim. Well, they don't really have names. They choose names at the beginning of the story, and he goes by Pilgrim, and he has a very interesting sword, because the sword kind of talks to him, and I'm really intrigued by that, because I don't know why yet, but it seems a very interesting aspect of the magic that I'm excited to see more of. Okay, so I did a boo-boo. Last week, I finished my book buying ban challenge, so that means I can buy books now, and I'm really happy about that. Yay, yay, yay. When I started the book buying ban challenge, I put another challenge that I was doing for the year on hold, which is my wrapped books challenge. So my wrapped books are basically books that I've considered unhauling that I haven't read. They're books that I wanted to read at some point, but for some reason I decided I didn't want to read them, but I was kind of like unsure about these books, so I gave them one more chance. I wrapped up the books and I put them on my shelf, on my wrapped book shelves, and I'm supposed to pick out one book each week and give it another shot. Well, since I finished my book buying ban challenge last week, I was supposed to do that this week. It's already Thursday and I forgot to unwrap a book. So I picked out a book. I picked the smallest one possible, obviously, because I don't want to set myself up for failure because it's already Thursday and I have until Saturday to read at least 50% of this book, or I have to unhaul it. So I don't want to set myself up for failure, so I picked a small one so I could definitely finish it before the end of the week, or at least get to 50%, because that's the goal, is to get to 50% of the book each week and then decide whether I'm going to continue on with it or unhaul it at that point. So time to see what it is. I got Helen Keller, The Story of My Life. The thing is, when I first wrapped these books, I wrapped up quite a few like nonfiction and classics that I decided that I was gonna keep. If I unwrapped it, I would just put it on my shelf. So I'm gonna unwrap a different one. This was a rule I let myself do later on in the year just because I got a lot more actual fiction books that I wanted to wrap. It's not fair to the books, let's put it that way, because I'm not gonna give it enough of a chance when I'm only giving myself 1 week's time. So I'm going to pick up a different one. I picked another one, it's also small. We'll see how it goes. I am having a feeling this is gonna end up being a classic. Watch. Ah, that's another classic. Why did I do this? Okay, so this is another one I have to put back. I'm just gonna be unwrapping all the books today. That's what it seems. I also have the Odyssey in there somewhere, which is about the same size as this, so I might end up unwrapping oh, this is the Odyssey. The Iliad is the other one. There is like a list of these books that I'm allowed to put back, and it looks like I'm getting all of them today. I'm getting another one. I really don't think this one's gonna be a classic, so hopefully. Treasure Island, another classic. Good job, Sarah. Just wrap up all the classics. I'm like trying to see through it to make sure it's not a classic, but I used double-sided paper so I couldn't cheat, so I can't see through it. The Adventures of Tom Sawyer. Hopefully this one's not a classic and I can do this one. This one feels a little thick though, so I don't know. I'm a little iffy about this one. Northanger Abbey. Seriously, this like never happened to me. Why are all the small books classics? Seriously? There has to be at least one non-classic book in this list. I did wrap a bunch of other books recently that had no classics in it in pink paper, but I'm supposed to finish the other papers first before I get to the pink paper. So I don't want to open up one of those. If I continue getting classics, I might go for one of the pink ones. The Tempest by William Shakespeare. 9th time's the charm, right? The Alchemist by Paulo Coelho. I was really hoping this one wouldn't be a classic. I mean, this is kind of like a contemporary classic. I can do it, maybe. It's on my list of classics though. I will get to it eventually, but now is not the time. I brought 4 books so I wouldn't have to keep going back and forth. And finally, we get one that's not a classic. Okay, and I have the other 3 books sitting there, but Challenger Deep by Neal Shusterman. Not a classic. I'm actually really excited for this one because I recently got really into Neal Shusterman. I read Scythe and Thunderhead, really love it. I don't know anything about Challenger Deep, but we'll see how it goes. Hopefully I can finish it in the next couple of days. It's not that long, less than 300 pages. So I think I can read at least the first 150 of them by Saturday. And I believe this is sci-fi. Yeah, I believe this is technically sci-fi, so I can read it during the Tome Infinity and Beyond Readathon next week if I don't finish it, if I just get to the 150 pages. I will try and make it all the way through, but if I only read the first 50%, I should be able to continue on with it next week. Yes! Finally got one that's not a classic. Oh my gosh, that took forever. So now I have a lot of paper to clean up, so I'm gonna go do that and I'll talk to you guys later. It's Friday, September 13th. We're a couple of days away from the beginning of the Tome Infinity and Beyond Readathon, which I'm super excited about. But since I'm currently not reading any science fiction books, I'm trying to finish all of the books I'm currently reading. It's not really gonna work out, but we'll see how this goes. Last night, I did finish A Pilgrimage of Swords by Anthony Ryan. I really enjoyed it. It's a novella, so it was really short, but I absolutely loved it. That book has so much more action than some full-length novels. Like, there were so many great action scenes that I enjoyed. The way it ended makes me really excited for the actual series that's coming out soon, potentially. I don't know exactly when it's coming out because The Pilgrimage of Swords still hasn't come out yet, which is coming out on September 30th. So I'm pretty excited about that. I will be doing a full review for that, which will come out a little bit closer to the release date, but definitely really enjoyed that one. So I've gotten pretty far into The Way of Kings. I'm really enjoying this. I really like where I am currently, which I don't have the bookmark here yet, but I have to return the audiobook today to the library, which makes me really sad. I was really hoping that I could renew it. So I'm not gonna be finishing The Way of Kings before the Tome Infinity readathon. So this will be like the only book that I let myself read that is not science fiction during the readathon. And I'm gonna be reading this one physically also. So it's gonna take me a while to finish this one. And I think I'm just gonna go ahead and start vlogging this one separately. So I'll have a separate vlog for this book for you guys to check out. Probably sometime in October that one will go up. So I'm excited for this. I've been wanting to pick up the physical book, so I'm sad that I don't have the audiobook, but at the same time, I'll be happy to pick it up physically. I also did put a hold on the audiobook again, and it says next few days, so I probably will get the audiobook again soon. But we'll see how this goes. I'm excited for it though. As for Sorcery of Thorns, I did make a little bit of progress with it. I'm now on page 50, right about there. I've decided to put this one on hold just until the end of the readathon, so I'll pick this one back up in October. This is not a DNF by any circumstances. I just don't have time to finish it with all of the other books that I'm trying to finish before the readathon, because I had 4 arcs that I wanted to finish, and I got 3 of them done, so I have 1 left. I hadn't started that one yet until this morning, so I'm putting this one on hold just so I can get to that arc, and then I will come back to this one in October. I am enjoying this one though, and I'm excited to see where it goes. I do know, however, that there's a big romantic aspect to it that I can kind of see it forming, but I don't know yet, and I don't know how much I'm gonna like that. So that's why I'm shying away from this one a little bit as well, but we'll see. I think I'll end up liking it, maybe. I don't know. So if you see that I took it off of my currently reads on Goodreads, it's not a DNF. I just don't have time for it right now, and I will get to it eventually. So the 2 books that I'm definitely going to be trying and finishing between today and tomorrow are The Ember Blade by Chris Wooding. I actually got the audiobook for this one. It's available for $3.99 on Chirp, so I was just like, wow, perfect timing. I really like the audiobook actually. The audiobook is fantastic. Not that I didn't like the ebook, I just prefer audiobooks to ebooks, and the audiobook for this one is really well produced. So I've actually made quite a bit of progress on that one so far. The plot of that one has picked up a lot, and I really like where it's going. Like, I have an idea of where it's going now, and I really like it. So yes, that one is really exciting for me right now. The other one that I picked up is A Full Circle by Suzanne. This is one of the arcs. It's sort of an arc that I picked up this month. It's not from NetGalley. The author actually contacted me on Instagram, and I said I would review her book, so I picked that one up. It's a psychological thriller about a woman who is in an abusive relationship. During this time, she can't really see a way out of it, but then she gets an inheritance of quite a bit of money. There's another romantic relationship going on and things like that, and we'll see how this goes. Because as of right now, I did start it, and I'm a little iffy about it as of right now, but we'll see how it goes. The author did let me know that it is semi-autobiographical, so it's definitely kind of like an own voices sort of story. In a lot of ways, you could definitely see that in the stories. It has been holding my attention the entire time. Like, the entire time I'm like, what's gonna happen next? Which is kind of how you want your psychological thrillers to be, so yeah, I'm enjoying that one too. So I just finished A Full Circle by Suzanne Seddon, and oh my gosh, this plot has so many twists and turns. I got dizzy. Like, it was like the ending, the second half of the books especially, was so good. I love this book plot-wise. Like, the plot was really good. Character-wise, there was one character that I really loved, Sophie. I absolutely love Sophie. I enjoyed Kate as a character as well, which is like the main character, and Sophie is her daughter. The rest of the characters, I really wanted more from them. Like, her husband, Alan, has 0 redeeming qualities. And yes, they have a domestic abuse relationship, but I would have loved to just have like some idea of why she even married him in the first place. You know what I mean? There are a couple of other characters that, again, I wanted to see why they were doing things the way that they were doing it and things like that, and I just didn't feel like got that. But at the same time, like, the plot was good enough that I didn't care that much. The writing was not my favorite either. I will say that. There were times, especially in like the first half of the book, where I was kind of like, I want more from this, but at the same time, it's a little wordy here and there, but I got over it pretty quickly once the plot picked up. So yeah, I really enjoyed it. I ended up giving it 4 stars. It's Saturday, September 14th. I have not vlogged all day long. I have been listening to the audiobook for the Ember Blade all day long, and I literally just finished it. It is so good. Like, it's a slow moving plot, but the character development is really well done. I really love the writing style in this book as well. It has interesting world building. It's not my favorite world building, but it definitely has interesting world building, and I loved the ending. The way it ended was just so good. Such an emotional ending, and I loved everything about it, and yes. So I ended up giving this one 5 stars. So good. I think I might want to do like a full review on this one just because it's like kind of an underrated book. Like, I haven't seen a lot of people talking about it, and more people should definitely read this book because it was just so good. So let me know down in the comments if you'd be interested in seeing a review on this one. That's all I have for right now. I do have to actually start my Unwrapped book for this week because I'm supposed to be at 50% tonight, which actually I was wrong yesterday when I said it was sci-fi. It's not sci-fi, it's contemporary, and it's YA contemporary, which I didn't really realize, but it should be interesting. We'll see how it goes. But yeah, I'm gonna go start Challenger Deep and see if I can get 50% of the way into it before the end of the night, because I don't, like, it's not fair for the book for me to just not keep it because I started it late, you know what I mean? Okay, it's Saturday night, and I actually ended up picking up the audiobook for Challenger Deep by Neal Shusterman. I'm like right there now, so that's like about 60% of the way through. This audiobook is actually really hard to put down. It's really good. I'm really enjoying it. I'm getting similar vibes to this one as I did to Everybody Sees the Ants by A.S. King, so I'm definitely enjoying it. I'm excited to see where it goes because it's a little outlandish, but like it's obviously meant to be that way, and I'm definitely enjoying it a lot more than I was expecting to. Like, this is one of my wrapped books, which my wrapped books, I generally don't expect to enjoy them as much as I would like books that I'm picking up because I actually want to read them. So yes, definitely excited to continue on with this one. And that's really all I have for you guys this week. So the last thing I have to do before signing off on this vlog is unwrap my book for next week. So I picked out my book for next week. I'm really hoping that it ends up being sci-fi. I don't think it's going to be sci-fi though, just because I really don't think I have a whole lot of sci-fi in these wrapped books because I generally just don't buy that much sci-fi, but we'll see what it is. So this is Emma Brown by Claire Boylan. It was originally written, at least an unfinished manuscript, by Charlotte Bronte. So this is one of my classics. So I have to pick a new one. So I'm gonna go grab a different one. Let's see what it is. Journey to the Center of the Earth by Jules Verne. Another classic, so I'm gonna have to try another one. I got another one. Deathsworn by Leah Cypress. I don't know anything about this book. It looks like it's fantasy. It also looks like it's YA because it has a quote by Teen Vogue on there, which makes me think that it's YA. I'm excited for it. We'll see how this goes. I'm actually kind of glad it's not sci-fi because I'll have like an excuse to read a fantasy book during the Tome Infinity and Beyond readathon, but at the same time, I kind of wished it was something that I could have used for the readathon, but it looks pretty short, 350 pages about. It looks like there's some good mysteries in it also, which makes me excited. I've never heard anyone talk about this book though, so we'll see how it goes. So that's all I have for you guys today. I hope you guys enjoyed watching. I post videos frequently on this channel, so consider subscribing. If you like this video, please give it a big thumbs up to support my channel. All social media links are in the description down below. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll see you guys next time. Bye.